proud of it. And he never ran from it. He ran towards it because it's what made this country great. And they were that story. And he was proud to be a product of that story. Immigrants who came here only with the promise of opportunity in a country that was willing to work with them. And a country that said, if we work with you, you can become anything you want, even governor of the state of New York, from parents who couldn't speak the language. But my father was dedicated to represent the best of the Italian-American people. And he wanted to model the best of the Italian-American culture. And he did. My father was educated. He was sophisticated. He was elegant. He was articulate. He was civile, the Italians would say. And he worked at it. He was a family man. He was a man of law and order. He had no tolerance for discrimination. Not as a citizen of New York, which is the capital of diversity, and not as an Italian-American who felt the sting of discrimination himself. And that's a powerful lesson for us all to remember. He enjoyed the success of other Italian-Americans who showed the Italian-American culture in the best light. He enjoyed the success of Justice Scalia, of Louis Freeh, former FBI director, former judge, New Yorker, vice presidential candidate Geraldine Ferraro, who broke barriers and who established a whole new acceptance for Italian-Americans and painted a whole new portrait of Italian-Americans for the entire nation. His father, my grandfather Andrea, who I'm named for, had a deep love for this country. He would express his love in his limited English vocabulary by often saying, "God bless America." And a tear would come to his eye. And what "God bless America" meant to my grandfather was this is the greatest country on the globe. It allowed him to come here with just a pair of shoes and the clothes on his back and educate his family and prosper and work hard and see his son go on to be governor of the state of New York. My father's way of saying "God bless America" was to enter a life of public service. It was his way of giving back, and it was his way of using his talents to give back and make this place a better place. My father would often say that public service is the second greatest occupation, second only to dedicating yourself to a religious order and service of God. But after service of God was service of community, and that was public service for my father. My father was a man of honor, and he was a man of dignity. What you saw in public is just what he was in private. There was no public Mario Cuomo different than the private Mario Cuomo. He was one and the same. He was authentic. And it was a life of principle, and a life of commitment, and a life of dignity, and a life of honor. Even towards the end of his life, when someone is getting sick and someone is ill, you try to find goals for them to reach. And the end of last year, last September, October, he was getting weaker, and I said, "You know, Pop, just hold on for the election, my election in November. And I want you there with me, and I need you with me, and I want you on the stage with me on election night." And election night came, and he was on the stage with me. It was the last time he was in public, and he walked out on the stage, and I held his hand, and I lifted his hand, and I felt the energy in his hand when he was looking out at the crowd. And we walked off stage, and he said, "Wow, what a crowd. They loved us," he said. My victory was really my father's victory. He believes they voted for Cuomo. The first name wasn't that important. And after November, I said to my father, you're going to make my birthday, and we're going to have a beautiful bottle of wine that we've been saving for my birthday early December. And then he was getting weaker. And I said, Pop, you have to be here for my inaugural, January 1, my inauguration. And he said, well, we'll talk about it. I said, no, Pop, I need to know that you're going to be here for my inaugural. And he looked at me and he said, I will be here for your inaugural. I said, do I have your word on it? He said, you have my word on it. Passed away the afternoon of my inaugural. I was sworn in. My sister put the phone next to my father's ear so he could hear the speech. He heard the speech. He heard the oath. He passed away. To his last minute, he was about honor and commitment and living up to his word. And that's what Mario Cuomo was all about. The entire Cuomo family is honored that NIAF has instituted the Mario Cuomo Award for Public Service. And you could not have picked a better recipient than District Attorney Janet DIFiore. Janet is not only an extraordinary public servant, but like my father, she too holds her Italian-American heritage dear. She represents the best of our traditions. She is a beautiful family. Her husband, Dennis, and her children, Alexander, Joseph, and Michael, they're a beautiful family together. She's a great lawyer. She has a stellar record as a judge. She's been elected 3 times as District Attorney of Westchester County. Janet embodies integrity and quality. Janet is focused on protecting children and families, fighting drugs and gun violence, and reforming our court system. I myself have called on the district attorney many times to be of service to the state government when we've had particularly troublesome problems. She is without a doubt one of the finest public servants in the state of New York and a national leader in criminal justice. I have no higher praise than to say that my father would fully endorse her selection. My father knew Janet, and to know Janet is to love and to admire her. And my father certainly did, and so do I. It's another thing that we have in common. Thank you for the award. Congratulations on the award going to a truly spectacular recipient, District Attorney Janet DIFiore.
Good evening, everyone. First, I want to start by thanking the National Italian